Do you stand with Ukraine? Why or why not?
I do. Yeah, I definitely do.
I do stand with Ukraine. I think every sovereign state has the right to self-determination.
I definitely stand with Ukraine because it's an invasion of, territory. It's every country's right to have borders and sovereign borders. So
I certainly do. It's unprovoked aggression.
I think Putin has a lot of nerve.
Yeah, I think I would stand with Ukraine. I like that the U.S. is currently sending over weapons. I mean, there's arguments to be made about the effectiveness of that and, whether there should be more or less. But generally, yes, I guess you could say I stand with Ukraine.
Everyone deserves support. We're all human beings. And it's difficult to say, are you saying Ukraine like the political system or Ukraine like the people?
Do you think the U.S. should be doing more to help Ukraine right now during the war with Russia?
Yeah, the U.S. really should be doing, there's always more to be done.
So if push came to shove, would you want to go fight the Russians if it came down to that?
No, I would only fight for my own country. If my own country was at risk there, I would definitely consider it.
If America got involved, I mean, like our army, our military got involved.
Yeah, I don't think that's I'm a big fan of direct intervention.
Would you want to go over to Ukraine to fight the Russians?
no, I would not want to do that. Not personally, no.
Ukraine is the first domino in a lot of, very terrible things that could happen if Ukraine falls.
You personally, how would you feel about going and fighting the Russians yourself if there was a draft, if it did escalate to that point?
I'm fortunate that I'm 30, and so I would be slightly ineligible for the draft. But I think if a push comes to shove, that if I were to be drafted in that space, I wouldn't want to do it because I don't know, but it would be something that I would understand why it would happen and that this is something that is necessary. If it were to happen, it would be for the right reasons. Right.
Thank you so much. If push came to shove and this thing escalated to, a bad point, would you want to go fight the Russians if we got involved with it militarily?
Do you mean when you say fight, you mean put American soldiers on the ground?
Yeah, or you personally go and fight, because you're a young guy, right?
Yeah. I don't think we should put American boots on the ground for that. If Russia ever invaded America, I'd go sign up. I'd go enlist. But I think that, I think money and weapons is probably the best way for us to help Ukraine.
I think it's about time that the U.S. gets more involved and maybe goes and beats up Putin in Russia.
I think so. I think there have been examples when the U.S. steps in and it helps very quickly, like Bosnia. And I think that obviously we don't want another big scale war involvement with the U.S. because there's a lot of opposition against that. But I think they could definitely step in and do something.
If there was another big scale war, if that led to that, how would you feel about your brother or your father or you going to fight the Russians?
I'm Swedish, so my parents wouldn't go, but if Sweden just joined NATO and as part of that, if NATO steps in, then Swedish people would step in, and I stand for that.
Would you like to see American young men going over to Ukraine to help fight the Russians, to help fight that war if it did escalate?
I'm not super big into adding fuel to the fire. I think getting more medical help over in places that need it would be fantastic. I don't think having a larger group of people fighting each other is necessarily the best resolution.
Do you think American young men should be sent to go fight the Russians?
That's a difficult question. I think that Biden is doing what he can do to avoid direct involvement, but certainly I think we're offering support to a country that's being a victim of aggression. So, yeah.
I think you have to stand up for what you believe in. It's not pleasant, it's not nice, but sometimes you do, like with Second World War. My dad was in the Second World War, and go and put your butt on the line, and it's time for our kids. Not that I want to. We have a grandson who'd be that age, but sometimes you have to.
Do you stand with Ukraine? Why or why not?
To a certain extent, yeah. Not. Yeah, like I do mostly. Yeah, but not like everyone else probably. No.
Okay.
Um,
You want to explain?
yeah, I just feel like the media took control of the situation way too much. They say some things that they just drive people to think that some things are happening in terms of the relationship with the West and the East that aren't necessarily completely true, and yeah.
Do you think that the U.S. should be doing more to get involved, or maybe even get militarily involved, or not?
I'm not from the U.S., so I guess it's more of an unbiased opinion, but I think that the U.S. is kind of the reason why the Russia-Ukraine war is happening in the first place. Starting back to 1991, when they told Russia that NATO wasn't going to expand an inch eastward to Gorbachev. But if you did further back a couple centuries, like, it's always been a bad relationship with from the West to Russia, and the United States in more recent history has a very active role in that. And so if you're asking the United States to take money away from their country when they have so many domestic issues to pay for something that they started themselves, or at least they helped start, and something that has nothing to do with them, it's kind of a tough sell, at least from the perspective of an international, being here. So yeah, that's what I think. I know Americans think kind of differently because they feel like it's their role to be the policeman of the world. But if it were my country and my tax dollars, I probably wouldn't be very happy with that.